Right now, somewhere on Earth, someone is sleeping peacefully. Someone else is binge-watching videos they promised themselves they wouldn't watch. Someone is staring at the ceiling, wondering why they can't fall asleep. And someone is walking through a dark hallway much faster than necessary. You know the hallway, the one where you suddenly become an Olympic sprinter after turning off the lights. You tell yourself you're an adult. You pay taxes. You have a password manager. You understand how Wi-Fi works. Yet somehow, the moment a room goes completely dark, part of your brain starts acting like something with claws is waiting just outside your vision. Which raises an interesting question. Why? Why do humans fear the dark? Because logically, darkness shouldn't be scary. Darkness doesn't chase you. Darkness doesn't bite you. Darkness isn't even a thing. It's simply the absence of light. And yet for thousands of years, darkness has inspired monsters, ghosts, demons, legends, and nightmares. Entire civilizations feared what happened after sunset. Children still fear it. Many adults secretly fear it. And if we're being honest, even the bravest person becomes just a little more alert when they hear an unexplained sound in a pitch-black room. So where did this fear come from? Was it learned? Was it cultural? Or is something much older hiding behind it? To answer that question, we need to travel back. Not hundreds of years, not thousands. Much further. Imagine this. It's 200,000 years ago. There are no cities, no streetlights, no flashlights, no glowing screens lighting up your face at midnight. The sun disappears beyond the horizon, and then everything changes. Today, night is an inconvenience. Back then, night was an entirely different world. The landscape didn't disappear. It transformed. The familiar became unfamiliar. Landmarks vanished. Distances became impossible to judge. A bush could become a predator. A shadow could become an enemy. Your eyes, which worked wonderfully during the day, suddenly became far less useful. And that was a problem, because humans weren't the only creatures awake at night. Many of the animals capable of killing us were lions, leopards, hyenas, large snakes, wolves. Humans often imagine themselves as the heroes of nature, but for most of our history, we weren't the heroes. We were menu items. A surprising amount of prehistoric life involved avoiding becoming somebody else's dinner. Researchers studying fossil remains have found evidence that early humans were frequently attacked by predators, not occasionally, regularly. For ancient humans, the darkness wasn't scary because of imagination. It was scary because danger was genuinely harder to detect. Imagine walking through a forest where your survival depends on seeing a threat before it sees you. Now imagine someone suddenly turns off 90% of your visual information. That's darkness. Your brain quickly learns a simple lesson. Dark equals uncertainty. Uncertainty equals risk. Risk equals fear. And once a lesson helps keep you alive, evolution tends to remember it. But here's where things get interesting. Humans aren't actually terrible at seeing in the dark. Compared to many animals, our night vision isn't great. But our real weakness isn't our eyes. It's our imagination. Think about it. A deer hears a strange sound. It reacts. A human hears a strange sound. The human imagines 14 possible explanations. 13 of them are terrible. This ability to imagine future possibilities became one of our greatest evolutionary advantages. It helped us plan, predict, invent, cooperate, build civilizations. It also created anxiety. Because imagination doesn't shut off when the lights go out. In fact, it often becomes stronger. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as threat detection bias. Your brain evolved to make quick judgments when information is incomplete. And darkness creates incomplete information. When visibility drops, your brain begins filling in the blanks. Imagine hearing a noise outside your tent. There are two possibilities. Option 1, it's the wind. Option 2, it's a predator. If you assume it's the wind and you're wrong, you die. If you assume it's a predator and you're wrong, you lose a little sleep. Evolution tends to favor the second strategy, which means your ancestors were often rewarded for being slightly paranoid. You are the descendant of cautious survivors, not fearless optimists, and that's probably why very few people hear a strange noise at night and immediately think, "Excellent, nothing dangerous is happening." But darkness did something else, something even more important. It gave birth to stories. Imagine a group gathered around a fire 40,000 years ago. The darkness beyond the flames is almost completely invisible. The world outside the circle of light feels endless, mysterious, alive. Someone begins telling a story about a spirit, a creature, a strange figure seen near the river. The children listen. The adults listen. Everyone stares into the darkness. And suddenly, the unknown has a face. This may be one reason nearly every culture developed supernatural beings connected to nighttime. Shadow people, ghosts, forest spirits, night demons, monsters, different names, same idea. Humans naturally create explanations for uncertainty. The less we know, the more creative we become. And darkness creates a lot of uncertainty. In a strange way, the dark became humanity's greatest storyteller. Because once you can't see reality clearly, imagination takes over. Now here's something fascinating. Scientists studying fear responses have found that darkness can increase activity in brain systems associated with vigilance and threat monitoring, even when people know they are safe. Think about that. Your conscious mind can understand perfectly well that you're sitting in a locked house. Your ancient brain responds, "That's nice, but what if something weird happens anyway?" It's like having a security guard from the Stone Age permanently employed inside your head, a security guard who has never updated his training manual. And honestly, he's a little dramatic. A creaking floorboard becomes a possible intruder. A jacket hanging on a chair becomes a suspicious figure. A pile of laundry becomes an unidentified life form. Humanity's greatest achievements may have been built by intelligence, but many sleepless nights have been built by laundry. Yet something remarkable happened during our relationship with darkness. We started fighting back. The first major weapon wasn't a spear or a shield. It was fire. Fire changed everything. Before fire, darkness dominated humans. After fire, humans began pushing it back. Anthropologists believe controlled fire transformed social life in profound ways. The day ended when the sun disappeared. But now people could extend activity into the night. They could talk longer, teach longer, bond longer. Imagine sitting around a fire after an exhausting day. The flames create a small island of safety. Beyond it lies uncertainty. Within it lies community, conversation, warmth, stories. This may have been one of the most important environments in human history, because darkness didn't just create fear, it also created connection. People gathered together because isolation was dangerous. A lone person in the dark was vulnerable. A group around a fire was powerful. In other words, one of humanity's oldest solutions to fear wasn't bravery, it was companionship. And we still do this today. Think about how rarely people choose to watch horror movies completely alone in a dark house. Fear becomes easier when shared. The ancient campfire became the modern living room. Different furniture, same psychology. But darkness continued influencing us in unexpected ways. It shaped religion, mythology, dreams, philosophy. Entire belief systems emerged from questions people asked beneath the night sky. Imagine seeing the Milky Way without modern light pollution. Not a few stars, thousands, tens of thousands. A river of light stretching across the heavens. No astronomy textbooks, no satellites, no scientific explanations, just mystery. It's difficult to look at a sky like that and not wonder, who are we? What is all this? Why are we here? The darkness didn't just make humans afraid, it made humans curious. And curiosity may be even more powerful than fear, because eventually, curiosity began winning. Humans explored caves, crossed oceans, studied the stars, invented telescopes, built observatories, sent spacecraft beyond Earth. The same species that once feared the darkness eventually started investigating it. Which brings us to today. Because despite all our technology, something interesting remains. Most people don't fear darkness itself. They fear what they cannot know. Darkness is simply the symbol. Think about modern fears: uncertain futures, unexpected diagnoses, job insecurity, loneliness, failure. These fears share something in common: lack of information, lack of certainty, a kind of psychological darkness, and our brains react to uncertainty today, much like they reacted thousands of years ago. They imagine possibilities, prepare for threats, search for answers, sometimes helpfully, sometimes not. The darkness outside may have become less dangerous, but the darkness of uncertainty still follows us. And maybe that's why the fear feels so familiar, because it was never really about monsters. Not entirely. It was about not knowing, the hidden, the unseen, the unanswered question. Yet there is another side to darkness that often gets ignored. Some of humanity's most important experiences happen there. Dreams happen there. Reflection happens there. Love happens there. Stories happen there. Ideas happen there. For most of history, people ended their days not with glowing screens, but with darkness itself. And in that darkness, they imagined futures, remembered the past, created myths, solved problems, asked impossible questions. The dark frightened us, but it also shaped us. Without darkness, there would be no campfires. Without campfires, fewer stories. Without stories, fewer cultures. Without cultures, a very different humanity. Which means something strange is true. The thing we feared helped create who we became. And perhaps that's the deeper lesson. The dark has always represented the unknown, the place where certainty ends. But every major human achievement began in the unknown. Every discovery, every invention, every journey, every answer. At some point, someone stepped into a darkness they didn't fully understand. So the next time you find yourself walking through a dark room a little faster than necessary, remember this: the fear you feel is ancient, older than cities, older than writing, older than history itself. It belongs to countless generations who survived because they paid attention when the world became difficult to see. But you're also the descendant of something else, not just fear, curiosity. The same curiosity that stared into dark forests, dark caves, dark oceans, dark skies, and eventually decided to explore them anyway. The darkness has always been there. The remarkable part is that humans kept moving forward,